All right, good afternoon, YouTube. I have had some issues with technology. My computer is actually back in the shop. So I had to do this unconventionally and record it from my phone. And I am sorry it's kind of late. It's really been quite the shit show in the last couple of days. But I am here to do your lunar eclipse full moon forecast. And so let's get right to it. So let's take a moment to think back to about September 7th, 2025. That was the last time we had a total lunar eclipse in Pisces, and that eclipse brought a powerful spiritual portal into like fated endings, spiritual awakenings, and clearing away like negative energy. Think back or even look back on old journals. What changes have you made in your life? Now, we do have an eclipse. It's tonight and tomorrow, 27th, 28th, that we have this partial lunar eclipse, technically in Pisces, but I'm going to be honest with you. I feel, and this is me being an ancient astrologer, not a modern astrologer, I really do feel like the energy is more Aquarian in nature. But it also takes on Pisces energy, and I'm going to give you a perfect example of this. Excuse me, I meant August 27th, not September. If I said September, I'm sorry. A couple of days ago on the Tibetan-Chinese border, there was like a glacier that fell and flooded, and it killed a lot of people. There's hundreds of people missing. That is shocking news. That is very Aquarian energy. Now, it had to do with water, so there's the Pisces energy. So I would say this energy takes on a duality of Aquarius and Pisces, even though technically the lunar eclipse is in a moon of Pisces. I kind of feel it's a little more Aquarian in nature. However, this lunar eclipse begins at 7:33 Pacific Daylight Time, and the full moons begins at about 9:18 p.m., so 6:18 on the West Coast, Eastern Daylight, on Thursday evening. Now, everyone overseas, that's usually in the wee hours of the morning on the 28th. Now, spiritually, this means small transitions. This means gradual shifts in consciousness and just gentle resets. In Pisces, this eclipse centers around mystery, mysticism, intention, emotion, spiritual connections, dreams, and psychic awareness. Now, on its negative side, it can bring water issues, which we've seen in the news, flooding, we've seen in the news, oil, Middle East issues, religion, addictions, drugs, alcohol, depression, and delusions. The soul will need some serious grounding and protection, especially those of us who are extremely sensitive to the spirit world, or with strong Neptunian energy or Pisces placements in your chart. You're going to feel this strongly. Now, anytime we move into the artistic, dreamy, and musical sign of Pisces, we tend to sometimes see things through rose-colored glasses. Pisces goes by feeling, I feel, as to where it needs to have more logic to it. Feeling is fine, going with feelings, but right now with the energy at hand, it can be about illusions and misconceptions of things. And in reality, this is where this moon tends to make us either face our illusions or continue to fall like into a state of regret, despair, and depression. Remember, Pisces is a karmic sign. So it can, it rules the 12th house of the deep subconscious. So it does have a tendency to make people depressed. Now, some Neptunian souls fall into their addictions at this time, while others will tap into their deeper subconscious mind. Those with misguided direction usually choose drugs and alcohol, and others really tap into like divination and the 12th house of spirituality and connectedness. Do not drink if you can avoid it. I mean, it's just not going to turn out well. This is not the night to go out drinking with your friends. Now, this lunar eclipse can be emotional. It can be neurotic. It brings a flood of intense emotional release. It's intuitive downloads. It's breakthroughs. It's also spiritual awakenings as well. Consider this kind of like a cosmic cleansing where it illuminates the truth, releases emotional baggage, and asks us to release control or surrender to those necessary endings and changes that can make way for new growth. We have to have something hypothetically die and fade away for a new beginning to begin. Where am I here? It's emotional baggage, change, and make way for. Now, it'll be all the water signs, so Pisces, of course, Cancer, Scorpio, that are going to really feel this moon strongly, along with the mutable signs, which are, of course, Cancer, or not Cancer, excuse me. Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Gemini will feel it too. But, my spiel every month here, it's going to be all of those souls born with a strong dragon's head or tail, sun, moon, or rising in Pisces that will feel it the absolute strongest. Okay, now the 27th is a big day, and it's full of intense energy. Today is full of intense energy, and this lunar eclipse in the evening is going to be there's going to be a tense square. It's probably happening in the next few hours here between Mercury and Uranus. Mercury's in Virgo, Uranus is in Gemini, and it's not only bringing epiphanies for us, but it could make many souls feel filled with anxiety, nervous energy. Even myself, I didn't wake up feeling all that good. I didn't get a good night's sleep. I always toss and turn right before an eclipse, whether it's lunar or solar. I have a lot of Pisces energy in my chart, so I'm really feeling the eclipse, okay? But we, like I said, we have a square that's happening in a few hours, and this will bring on those nervous anxieties. The mind will be overactive, so do not feed into any fear. This square kind of brings that, oh my God, kind of moment, really, in reality, where one's perspectives could shift, and even, the old viewpoints and patterns and habits can be eliminated. Now, there was a Kazemi this morning. I had to work. I didn't get to enjoy it. But that started this morning at 10:10 Pacific Daylight Time. It only lasted for 16 minutes, and I do apologize for not getting on here. Like I said, usually I do this the night before. But with Mercury and the Sun both in Virgo right now with this Kazemi, mental clarity and thought process will be on point. And like I said earlier, steer clear of alcohol and legal and illegal substances. Now, moving on, I'm going to read you Pisces forecast. So this will be for all my Pisces. I'm probably going to read Aquarius too, because I do kind of feel like the energy is like I said earlier, I'm feeling 50% Pisces and I'm feeling 50% Aquarius. So let's start with Pisces. And this eclipse energy, Pisces, is right on you. It's the first house of the self, the soul's purpose, and even how the public sees you. You will receive a much needed and deeply personal rebirth. This energy wants all Pisces souls to step into a new version of themselves, releasing outdated ideas, perspectives, philosophies, and really stepping into your own true power. That's what this eclipse for Pisces is all about, stepping into your power. Like I said, the 27th, we have that Mercury Cazimi that hits your 7th house of marriage, contracts, partnerships, making the mental clarity strong and insightful. Now, in a few hours from now, we are going to have a nasty square coming between Mercury and Uranus. Mercury is in Virgo. And this energy is a little neurotic and emotional, especially in the 7th and 4th houses. This all happens right before the eclipse on Thursday night, Friday morning. So just something to be aware of. Do not drink or take drugs during this full moon phase. And like I told all water signs, okay? Get to the water to regenerate. And if you don't have access to a river, a lake, a stream, a beach, then salt showers, salt baths. This is a time to focus, Pisces, on yourself, your body image, and your self-expression and self-care as well, okay? Water, regenerate with good old H2O. Hang in there, Pisces. Now, I am going to read Aquarius because, like I said, I feel like the energies are kind of dueling. So, Aquarius, finances and money will be the focus as some of your material foundations shift. This energy is moving through your 2nd house of wealth, money, finances, possessions, value, and even self-esteem. These next few weeks are a time to reevaluate your finances and put things in perspective financially. Some will literally see their finances die and rebirth in this energy. The Cazimi in the morning, like I said, of the 27th, this has already happened, so even though it's past, I'm still going to read it, brings a major realization and intellectual manifestations to a stronger thought process and more realistic ideas within the 8th house of investments and joint finances. Now, that Uranus-Mercury square that's happening later today is going to bring some tension and stress to the 5th house. The kids could be a little more annoying. The spouse or the lover could be a little more annoying. So just take that into consideration. There's always a possibility, Aquarius, when you have the energy going through the 2nd house of money, or the 8th house of money, right? Yes, 8th house of money, that you may have to spend against your will in this case. Not the 8th house, the 2nd house of money. Oh my God. The 2nd house of money. Both house 8th and the 2nd are both money houses. Just a little different. This eclipse, new moon for Aquarius, is moving through the 2nd house. The square is moving through your 8th house. So like I said, there's a possibility of some financial setbacks where you may have to spend against your will or have some added expenses in this moon cycle. That's always a possibility. But this eclipse energy is asking you, Aquarius, to release negative viewpoints in regards to money and finances. View things a little bit differently. And reevaluate your relationship and value and money. Okay? It's just, we all need to be educated on money a little better. Not just one specific sign, but many signs. And this is a time to really get in there and check things out. Hang in there, Aquarius. You've got this. Okay. So this eclipse energy, like I said, intense. It's going to be neurotic. Some people will be unhinged. Some people will be unrealistic. And I use this as an example. So I take care of senior citizens. I'm a home health care aide part-time. And this morning I was my day to take one of my clients out on an errand to the dollar store and to Sprouts and a couple other places. Anyway, we pull up and there's some guy sitting in the passenger seat of the car next to me having a full-blown conversation with himself. Now, my client is a retired doctor of psychology. This woman knows her stuff. The two of us looked at each other and she just said, okay. And I did say, we are going into a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. People are a little more neurotic now. And we just kind of looked at him. He was as happy as a clam. He was answering himself back. I was like, all right, whatever makes you happy, buddy. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of people become unhinged in this energy. Now, on a more positive note here, this is a very metaphysical energy, okay? The Uranic energy, which we are in, it started on the 23rd. So I can't give you all the dates, but we're in it. And this can bring insane weather, earthquakes, shocking news. Look what happened, China and the border of Tibet. That's horrible. That is definitely shocking news. Earthquakes, eruptions, explosions, electrical issues, electrical storms. This rules Asia. This can rule Italy. This is U.S. news in some ways. And this is always the strange and the bizarre. This is space and aeronautical news too. So stay off airplanes if you could possibly not fly during this eclipse energy. That would be great. I didn't post this to my predictions. Even for my Patreons, I had about 36 predictions for the next 18 months. And the one prediction I didn't put in there, and I just kind of figured people would know. I wouldn't have to put it in, but I should have. Remember, we're in an Aquarius dragon head. And just because it's in the head, the North Node is in the head, it doesn't mean that bad things won't happen. And if you've noticed in the news in the last couple of months, right, we've been in this dragon since July 26th. Not that long, maybe a month. There's been a lot of mid-air collisions with planes and helicopters. I heard a man's wife and daughter were struck down and killed by lightning somewhere in the south. That is another thing that you're going to hear a lot about with this placement. Airline issues, space issues, electric. Aquarius rules electricity. It rules lightning. So you're going to hear a lot more about electrical storms, a lot more about lightning hitting people and places and, things like that. Just something to be aware of. But like I said, stay off the airplanes and because there's like a red light and a green light for flying. You can't just go, I think I'm just going to get my ass on a plane and go. No, you got to actually look at the ephemeris, study the moon chart and go, that's the beauty of being an astrologer. I can do those things. But there are green and red lights for flying, especially in an Aquarius air dragon. Sorry, someone burped. Jesus Christ. Yeah, my computer's down, so I am doing this from my kitchen table. Sorry. The next energy or days of caution that hit are going to be around September 6th. Something to be aware of as we move into a moonic phase. And this brings unsettled weather. This can bring forced relocations. It can rule earthquakes and fault lines. But it's Great Britain and USA news and the beginning and endings of all phases of life. So, I'm not going to say this is going to happen. But I don't think this is going to happen for a couple of years. But I don't think King Charles is going to be around a whole lot longer. Thinking maybe 2028, there's going to be some changes. I have to go look at Prince William's chart before I say any more than that. Now, the key to getting through this eclipse energy will be to tap deeper into the spiritual side of things, focus on meditation, music, easy listening music, or music in general. Pisces rules music, so music is uplifting. And this really is about strong cosmic vibrations. Steer clear of all substances the first few days of this lunar eclipse. Reconnect with the water elements. Like I said, take a lot of naps, drink plenty of water. And I'm wishing all of you full moon eclipse blessings. I did say I was going to start getting on here every Friday. I know tomorrow is Friday. If I have time, which I might in the afternoon, I won't be able to go live because I don't have my PC with me, but I will be able to record it over the phone and do it this way. I might go live and just kind of show you. I'm going to start going on every Friday and taking you through one week with the energies that are hitting for that week and kind of explain things. I'm not going to do tarot today, but if you like what you hear today, give us a like, because if I was up to 1,000 followers, I would actually be able to go live from my phone. And I know some of the things I discuss and talk about is not made for the fragile. I don't sugarcoat. I lay it down straight. If you want someone that sugarcoats and blows hot air up your skirt, I'm not your lady. Because I give it real. I give you facts. I give reality. I don't sugarcoat it. Truth hurts sometimes, but it needs to be said. With that being said, stay safe out there. Watch, what was I going to say? Stay safe out there. I was going to say watch the nuts, but watch the crazies. Watch the road. I guarantee you tonight and the next night, you're going to see an incredible amount of DUIs. I'm going to have to ask some of my friends who are cops if they're noticed like an upsurge in DUIs. That is very common with Pisces energy, driving under the influence. It's not that Pisces is all Pisces are drinkers. No, but it's because the energy is thinning and people are more vulnerable. It's just they're kind of prone to alcohol and drug consumption. And then that blurs their vision and their spirit. Do make time tonight to divinate. Do some divination. Whatever spell work you choose to do, do it. But all in all, have a blessed lunar eclipse in Pisces. I will talk to you guys soon. Ciao.